Give him a round of applause.
I don't think I put Seattle on the map. I get at the Jimi Hendrix, but okay.
Well, you did. You did, in my opinion. You did, in my opinion. And then to my right, former Seattle Seahawks superstar from Tacoma, my first Seahawks player that I booked for Seahawks Takeover Tuesdays back at the radio station, the one and only Marcus Trufont. Thank you for being here, Marcus.
No problem. Appreciate you for having me, man.
No problem. I appreciate you guys being here, man. What a pleasure and an honor it is. At the end of the day, we're all friends. We're all friends. It's going to be a great show. Also, shout out to my buddy here, Jeremy from Popeye Energy Drink in the studio coming, drop some meetings today to beer. I appreciate you being here, Jeremy. Thanks for coming on in.
Thanks for having me.
No problem. So let's get this show kicked off. I mean, we got music in here. We got a major energy drink right now on the horizon, and then we got my boy Marcus Trufant. But let's get this kicked off real quick. So Mix-a-Lot, you and I go back, man. You and I go back a number of years. And we also have a lot in common. So I want to kind of go from back in the day onwards to 2018. So
right
first of all, we went to Roosevelt High School. We're both Rough Riders, right?
Yeah. I came up during busing, man. So when I went to Roosevelt, it was almost black.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why we took the state championship in basketball.
Yeah.
That was a long time ago, man.
You're looking better than ever. You're looking younger than ever. So okay. I was 94. I think you were right around, 91, 92?
I wish.
Yeah.
I wish.
And also, I want to shout him out. We have a lot of people listening right now, not only in Seattle, but nationally and internationally. The one and only, someone that I'm very, very, very grateful to, DJ Nasty Ness.
Yes, sir.
Who really, honestly, he gave me my start in the music business as a kid in high school. He had I'm sure you remember, he had a company called Crazy Pinoy Promotions up there off Madison Street on Capitol Hill. And, I was just a kid, trying to learn the music business. And I knocked on his door one day and he opened the door and he said, man, who's this kid knocking on my door? And we'll talk about that story later when he comes in. But I just thought it was really cool because, as you can relate, Mix, there's not a lot of people.
Oh, Ness is coming today?
Ness is going to be on the show next week via phone. He actually was in Seattle, but I wasn't up and running. Yep. So he's actually listening right now if you want to shout out good old Nasty Ness.
That's my boy, Nasty Ness. You don't let me tell no stories about how I met him, but that's okay.
No, I want you to. That was my next thing on the good old show prep. So please tell everybody right now how you and Ness formulated.
First of all, Ness, we went to the same school, right? He was like a year and a half, maybe 2 years. He was about 2 years ahead of me.
Yep.
Scared the hell out of me.
Yep.
Dude was crazy looking, right? Like he was on some Bruce Lee, I'll just whoop your ass on GP kind of stuff.
Yep.
So I tried to avoid him, and I didn't even want to make eye contact with the dude. But fast forward later on, I was like a street DJ, right?
Yep.
So I'm just running around battling, doing all this stuff, trying to get known for something. Broke.
Yep.
And one day he walked into the party. Now, I claimed that I hated radio DJs at the time. I'm like, I can't stand radio. Man, I wish one would walk up in here, right?
Yeah. And this was 1983, right?
This
around
was
82?
Around 83.
Yep.
82, 83.
Yep.
And he walked in, and of course, I started trying to show off and do everything I could to get his attention because I really loved him, but I was trying to act like I hated him.
Right.
Anyway, he kind of, in a weird way, took me under his wing. We ended up being friends, and he was DJing back in the day, 1250 K-Fox, right? So I used to watch him on the air, and that's where I learned about delivery because I didn't rap back then. All I did was DJ.
Yep.
I didn't really rap. I'd rap as a joke.
Yep.
Right? But then I watched Ness he'd be talking like this, man, you crazy, Mix. And it was time to go 1250 K-Fox.
Yeah.
DJ Nasty Ness. I'm like, damn.
Yep.
So I learned really the cadence and how to toss your voice around. And then Ed Locke. I met Ed Locke through Nasty Ness. And Nasty Mix Records is really Nasty Ness and Mix-a-Lot. That's where the whole Nasty Mix name came from.
Right.
And we all collectively kind of started the label. Greg Jones, who doesn't get enough credit, he's the one that funded it initially. And and that's where it started, man. But honestly, man, Ness exposed me to a lot of stuff, especially in New York.
Right.
I did not have a New York pass.
Yep.
They knew I wasn't from here at all, right? So wasn't from there at all. So, but Ness took us out there. We start filling our crates with records and break beats and all. That's where I got all that from, man.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then how did it feel like, back in the early 80s, like, going platinum as an artist like yourself in those, early years? I mean, what an accomplishment. I mean, like when Ness and Sheila and everybody at Nasty Mix told you that, you were certified platinum, like what was your immediate reaction?
I was, I didn't really understand the levity of it. Yeah, I remember this was an independent label. We're in Seattle.
Right.
I didn't know. I knew it was 1 million records, but I'm like, is that a lot?
Right.
Because I didn't really have access to major artists.
Right.
Which actually benefited me because I would have tried to imitate them and then I would have sucked.
Yep.
But it was kind of odd, going platinum. I didn't understand my value yet. It took a long time for me to understand what my worth.
Yep.
And so I was out there doing shows at $2,500 when I was platinum.
Right.
It's like, damn, what am I thinking about? By the time I got him, it was too late. But yeah, no, we had a platinum record, independent platinum record in the 80s. Think about that. This is going along with Def Jam and all these guys, and we jumped up with a platinum, and then we followed that with a gold.
And it wasn't just one. I mean, we're talking about, Square Dance Rap. We're talking about My Posse on Broadway, Beepers, My Hoopty. I mean, just to name a few. I mean, so many artists today, and I want to kind of get into this. So many artists today, when they're in the studio, they focus on that one song, and they really kind of bank their career on that one record. And
I don't think artists focus on it. I think the labels focused on it. Most artists, I tell you what, you ask the average honest artist, did they think that the big song was going to be big? And they'll tell you no. They never go, oh yeah, I knew that was going to hit when I did it. No, when I finished the whole album with Baby Got Back on it, I thought One Time's Got No Case was the hit. Rick Rubin's like, dude, this sucks.
Yep.
I'm like, I don't care. It sucks. Not put it out.
Yep.
And it flopped.
Yep.
Right? And then Baby Got Back on it. He was right. I was wrong. That's why he's Rubin and they'll mix a lot. So.
Right. Exactly. And one thing that I've always your image and your sound and just you as an artist, whether you're on stage, whether all the things that you're handling on the business side, and I just think it's remarkable, like how you've always been able to reinvent yourself to that level to introduce yourself to a new fan base, and most importantly, at the end of the day, still collect the checks.
Well, I don't fear failure. I really haven't. I mean, a lot of artists, credibility is a strange word. People. So if I shot somebody, I got credibility.
Right.
Get out of my face with that. And so I realized that longevity doesn't really come from that. Longevity comes from, kind of understanding who you are and making sure you can find your people first and hope the fire catches.
Absolutely.
So after Posse on Broadway, we did Posse on Broadway, and we did a video. I'm serious. Ness will tell you this. We didn't have permits. We didn't have nothing. We just went down in the street. We couldn't use Dick's though.
Right.
Dick said, no, you can't come here. So we used this place called Stands. And we just shot it with no permits or nothing. We didn't even know we needed permits. So we riding around in limos up and down Broadway with women hanging out of windows and stuff like that. And
well, hopefully you showed up to Macklemore's video shoot that he did at Dick's on Broadway. And
man, I couldn't even get down there, man.
You couldn't get down?
Macklemore Mac will call you like 5 minutes before showtime.
Yeah, exactly.
You hear yet? I was like, come on, man.
I was actually there, and that was an experience how Macklemore pretty much had the Broadway shut down. So talk about, Ness told me something about, and he said he wanted you to, explain it better about someone saving someone else's life. Do you remember that? It was back, he said, in the 80s where, it was either, I believe it was you saved his life, and he said it was a pretty cool story.
There's two stories. One is funny, if that's what he's talking about. The other one, I won't say it because that's personal, right?
Okay.
But there was one.
He's talking about the funny one.
Okay, all right. Yeah. So we were in London, England, right? Wembley Arena. We're getting ready to go on stage and we're sound checking. So there's this part in one of my songs where there's like beatbox thing, right? So Ness starts trying to be funny during sound check, and the stage was like, I'm serious, man. When I say 30 feet, I mean 30 feet. We're looking down on the top of people's heads.
It would have been a fall.
Well, it was a fall.
Yeah.
But he saved his own life. I wish I could say I didn't do a damn thing, but it was like, oh, I can't cuss. But you know what I mean?
Right.
So he's doing this beatbox thing, and he's having fun, and he kind of turns towards us, and he's pointing at us and backs up, and he was just gone.
Yep.
I'm like, what happened?
Gone there.
Switch, he was gone,
Yeah.
and then we just saw the curtain tighten up, like, and he grabbed it and saved his life. He would have been dead, dude. And I'm not exaggerating. That was about at least a 30-foot fall, unexpected. And thank God for curtains.
Well, thank God he didn't pass away, because I don't know if I would have been in the seat that I'm in today if it wasn't for DJ Nasty Ness.
That's just something else, man.
That's just something else.
He used to bring us tracks, man, that we had never heard.
Yep.
And that's where I kind of got my styles from, just listening to other cats and all that. But I listen to a lot of other music too, a lot of rock and shit, like stuff like that.
Yeah, no problem. Hey, no problem. Let's welcome our other special guest here at the time, Marcus Trufont. Now, Marcus, you remember the phone call that you and I specifically had. What year was that? Like, you'll have to help me out. It was a number of years ago. You were a rookie.
Yeah, my rookie year was 2003.
It was 2003.
Yeah.
And I called you up and I said, you know what? I'll tell you the whole story. I'm sure you remember, but I said, I want to do something that no radio station in the country is doing. I want to do an official Seahawks Takeover Tuesdays on my show where I have a Seahawks player. And Mix, you remember, you came down for these. Where a Seahawks player like yourself came in for a 16-week time commitment and took over the show, gave tickets away, personal passes, meet and greets, and you kicked it off for me.
That was a different time, man. That was a different time. Now the Seahawks, I know they got extra security and different stuff like that, things you can't do, things you can do. But at that time, it was a little bit more free. So, yeah, doing that radio show, we would come down there on our day off, Tuesday, me and Kim Hamlin, as a matter of fact. And we would do the little show and talk about places that was open in downtown Seattle, clubs and this and that. And we would actually go out that night and have to practice the next day. It was a different time.
And I remember you, me, and Ken, we'd go to you'd come with me to some of my club appearances, and we'd go out to dinner, we'd promote the show. And the last thing that I kind of want to say before we talk more about the show was a former market president who I used to work with at the radio station, he said, I'll never forget his quote to me. He said, Dirty Harry, you'll never be able to pull this off. And I looked at him in his eyes and I said, let me let you into a little secret. I don't take no too well. I will be able to pull it off. And that thing went for 8 years. You were in there, Ken was in there, Walter Thurman was in there, Justin Britt was in there, Robert Turbin was in there, Mark, the list goes on and on and on. So I just think it's, one of the reasons I wanted to have you especially on with Mix, Marcus, for show one was not only the amount of years that you and I go back, but that was a real special moment for me that former president said, you know what? I ain't going to be able to pull it off. And it went 9 years, and it brought in a whole bunch of new sales revenue from endorsements, from appearances like you and I did back in the days. So I really appreciate you being, on my first show today. Studio110.live. If you're just on social media right now, wanting to check out the address, Studio110.live, my brand new show kicking off today, Monday through Friday, 1 to 3. I got the one and only Sir Mix-a-Lot, Marcus Trufont. Got my buddy here, Jeremy from Popeye's Energy Drink. What are you drinking over there, Jeremy?
I'm drinking our Anchor
Get a little closer to the mic for me.
Sorry about that.
That's right.
So I'm drinking Anchor and Apple. It's our only flavor where we actually hide the spinach leaf extract in it.
And talk about real quick, just kind of how the brand kind of came under your wings and how you developed it.
Well, I didn't actually get to develop it. The future flavors I do get to develop.
Well, you have developed it in your own kind of creative way from kind of picking up where you left off. You have.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I came on early in its first year as a rep.
Yeah.
It was a brand actually out of Southern California, and I was to oversee the Northwest with it. And as time went on, the gentleman who was the financier and the money behind this has other projects, moved on, and as luck would have it, the brand kind of gave me an opportunity to buy out and take hold of it, and now here we are. The brand's GMO free, gluten free. How could I say no to that?
Well, how close do you think we are until Popeye Energy Drink is the official beverage drink of the brand new Dirty Harry show at Studio110.live? Not to put you on the spot, but hopefully a couple weeks away until the studio's filled with Popeye Energy drinks, and your reps from New York are coming out. And
I think we could arrange that this afternoon.
I think we can too. Yeah, I think we can too. I mean, we're doing some big things up here on the 33rd floor. We're not going to give out the exact city that we're in yet because we want to indulge the listeners and not let the cat out of the bag. Tacoma, yes, Tacoma.
T-Town.
Shout out Tacoma, Marcus. There you go.
Yeah, 253. There it is. I appreciate it, Mix.
So, Mix, what do you? I know you're getting ready to embark on a tour, and I think you worked your schedule around specifically to be here for my first show before you go out on the road. So I really appreciate that. I want to sincerely say thank you for that. And let's talk about the tour. Where's it starting? Where's it going? And
it starts in San Diego.
Okay.
And we do a show. We like to start slow. So we do a show, take a couple of days off, do a show, because we do this thing with our voices called cactus. Uh-huh. You do one show, you get hoarse.
Right.
Second show, less hoarse. By the time third, you could I'll sing soprano. Right? So we do a show on the 24th, then we do a private show in Vegas on the 27th, then we grind. So we got Albuquerque, New Mexico, Amarillo, Texas, Lubbock, Texas, Dallas, Texas, Houston, Texas, Hattiesburg, Mississippi, Atlanta, Georgia, Mobile, Alabama, Savannah, Georgia. We go all through Fort Myers, Florida, all over the place, all through Florida though. A lot of East Coast stuff.
And for everybody that doesn't know, is Mix doesn't fly.
That's how you make money on tours.
Right. You do not fly.
I've been teaching artists that for years. They like, y'all fly into New York, do a show, fly into LA, do a show. that looks like paper. But
Right.
flying to LA, do a show, pick up a bus, and grind up the West Coast,
Yep.
and that little $10,000-$15,000 show turns into $150,000.
Right. And how many cities are you doing on this particular tour coming up?
I think it's 47.
47.
Something
Wow.
like that. Yeah, I'll be
47
gone for a
cities.
while, man.
Well, maybe you'll be able to call in on the road and let me know how you're doing on the tour.
All you gonna hear is me snoring.
Well, I'm sure we can arrange a phoner for checking on the Sir Mix-a-Lot tour. And is it going to primarily be kind of the old stuff on the catalog and some of the new stuff? And
I do some new stuff, but what I can't stand is when an artist, is primarily known for a few big tracks that people love, and you get up there and do a medley. I don't do that.
right,
So I'll do a 10-minute version of Baby Got Back because I don't want them pissed off. Because
Yeah.
I'm a fan too, right?
Yep.
And I remember, may he rest in peace, but when Prince came out here and didn't do anything off of Purple Rain, I'm like, oh, come on, bro. I mean, really?
you're talking about the back-to-back shows at Key Arena a number of years ago.
No, he did these at the Showbox.
Oh, the Showbox. Okay.
Yeah, when he had
okay.
the all-girl band, I'm like,
Okay.
not a good look.
Yep.
Before he got to Denver, the fans chewed him up, so that's why I don't do that. I try to give them what they pay for and then give them something extra. I jump out in the crowd, all that stuff. I ain't into and lip syncing is not something old folks do.
And how many other artists are on this tour? Obviously, you're headlining.
It's going to vary.
Okay.
It's going to vary because I'll do, like I said, I'll do the big arenas and I'll be out with Naughty. And I do a lot of shows, Naughty by Nature and those cats, right? They
Yep.
got a show too.
Yep.
So I do a lot of shows with those cats. But then when they fly back to New York, I'll just grind through and knock out Pensacola, Florida and all that. And then they come back to Miami and we'll do Miami. Then I do, I'd like to stay out. If I'm out, get the money.
And your new female artist, did I get it correctly? Takesha, is it Takesha? Tamika, excuse me. I'm sorry,
We've been
Tamika.
working together for years, but now she's artistically in a place that I really like. And for me, I won't put out anything that, in my eyes, doesn't have artistic integrity.
And where's she at right now in terms of getting an album out soon, or what are you focusing on her right now in the
thing
studio?
about now, man, is that the business has changed so much. I always
Right.
tell people it's like the most consumed art, but the most undervalued simultaneously.
Right.
People don't want to pay for music anymore. They want it free.
Yep.
So first thing we had to do was sit down and figure out how she's going to monetize it.
Yep.
Because the problem with artists is they don't value their work.
No.
Because a young kid has never seen anybody pay for a record. I have, so I know it's worth something.
Yep.
But you see a lot of young kids that just give the record away and then they just tour.
Yep.
So I'm trying to figure out other ways for her to monetize it to where she doesn't have to grind like I'm doing on the road. I don't want her to have to do that. She'll end up looking like me in 6 months.
Well, you're looking pretty good. So you're looking.
You don't want Tamika to look like me though, bro.
I'm just saying, you're taking care of yourself. So. Yeah.
But nah, man, it's we're gonna nobody does albums anymore, so everything we do will just come from an album.
Okay.
So we'll do a track and release it, do another track and release it, then we'll pop out a video and get the content popping. And really the thing is to get an organic social media outreach, right? Some people I'll just say this. I did a ad campaign with Procter & Gamble, internet-based. They had did the same ad campaign with another artist who had like 6 million followers, no engagement. I had 35,000 followers and had over 20,000 people enter the contest.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I want her to make sure she has an engaged base, not just a bunch of fake followers. You comment on Michael Jordan and 10 people follow you just because you said Michael Jordan.
Right.
That'll hurt you later.
What are you most excited about this particular tour coming up in terms of, obviously you're excited to engage and have that one-on-one connection if you're doing some green room opportunities backstage at the shows, but what would you say is like when you talk about 47 cities, because most artists today, they're lucky if they do 25 to 30. You're doing 47. I mean, that's impressive.
That's easy if you just grind it. I mean, if you're flying, it's hard. Right. So I'll do like Whitefish, Montana, but I'm getting paid the same amount if I did LA. Right. So, but Whitefish, Montana doesn't have a big airport, so guys don't grab it. So I can go in and take that. I told Tretch. Tretch is like, what? And Tretch has been doing it. He's been grinding. I think he's buying a house. So that's how I do it, man. But I look forward really to seeing people I know because I know somebody everywhere.
Yep.
I mean,
and you always have. You always have.
I got people in every city, man. We kick it, go out and do stuff. Hit the soul food joints. You got to do that.
Yep.
Everywhere I go, whatever the place is known for, I eat it.
Yep.
Well, not everywhere though. I stopped eating all them pork chops and stuff, man. I don't do that no more.
And when you and I talked on the phone a couple weeks ago, we talk all the time, but I was asking you, like, I know for a while you were, trying to get like kind of customize your own, personal touring vehicle, and is that all?
It's done.
It's done. Talk about it. Let me.
First, I was going for it just to pimp it all the way out, and I realized that's stupid. It's got to make money.
Right.
So I made it. It's kind of a business office. It really, it is.
Describe
So
it like talk. I mean, I haven't even seen it
it's like
yet.
got 4 recliners in it.
Okay.
You know, so the cats can lay back. They can put their feet up, but they have desks. They can put their laptops up there and do what they got to do. I have a setup in the back so I can do either my radio show or I can actually record in the Sprinter. But I put it all the way in the back because I didn't want to hear the noise from the diesel up front. So I got a lot of sound deadening in it. You know, we put some lights in it. It is a couple tacky things in there, though.
That's
Like,
okay.
you know, limo companies, man. I'm like, come on, man. What you gonna put in here? Stripper pole or something? I don't want all these laser lights. So you know, I got a 86 a couple things, but it's a solid. It's good till the wind blows. I ain't gonna lie. Any of y'all got a Sprinter? You know what I'm talking about, man. When the wind hits it, you better find something to do. Go see a movie. I'm telling you.
Yep. Same driver that's doing 47 cities. You got multiple drivers picking
I
up.
drive. I don't let nobody drive.
Oh, you're driving.
I love driving, man.
Oh,
That's
wow.
me, man. My dad got me into that.
So if you're listening and let's say you're in, Detroit or Miami or New Hampshire, wherever you're listening, you know, if you see a pretty nice next level Sprinter pass you on the freeway, look over and it's, most likely it's going to be the one and only Sir Mix-a-Lot. So
I be grinding, man. But
there you
we're
go.
they're gonna stay out with me. Sometimes I fly them back, the guys back, but they like the Sprinter. Now they're spoiled.
Yep.
No, we'll just stay out there. We'll just get a hotel, chill.
Yep.
You know.
Marcus, what? Let's catch up here. What have you been working on? Obviously, you've got that. You developed a nice radio show with your co-host. I thought your co-host was going to be here, but we'll get him on the next show. And you've had a lot of amazing bowling celebrity, parties that I know have been successful for you. And you definitely do a lot of engagement in the city. In Tacoma, you're always giving back on charities and. You're definitely, you're a face in the community. It's not like you've moved away to South Beach, Miami, and said, you know what, screw Seattle. So, what have you been doing?
Well, I've been doing a lot of stuff. Like you said, I'm a Washingtonian, so I'm from Tacoma, but I like to give back here. I like to be here. I like to do business here, and I like to be involved in the community. That's kind of where the radio show comes from. Just as a player, I wasn't very vocal and stuff like that. I wasn't a guy that you would see in commercials or a guy that's talking a bunch of trash on the field, doing a bunch of crazy stuff like that. But after you're done playing, you kind of got to reinvent yourself. And I still wanted to have a base, to have a face out in the community, a name that people still recognize. I'm done on the field, but I still wanted to be able to do stuff. I want to be able to have these charity events. I want to be able to do stuff. So people got to know who you are. They got to know what you're doing. They got to know where you're at. A lot of that comes with the social media and stuff like that. And at first, I didn't even want to do that. During my time, I was right on the tail end of that when it really started to pop and get popular. My last year was 2012, but around like 2010, there was a lot of guys on the team that was doing all that stuff. And I was one of the older guys in the locker room. So I was like, I don't want people in my business type thing. That's kind of, that's kind of where I come from. But, yeah, I've been doing these bowling events. I
love bowling. For example, and I'll shout them out right now. West Seattle Bowl, Monday nights, they do an amazing promotion. If you guys like to bowl out there, you'll catch me down there. $1 bowling nights.
Get out of here.
$1 bowling nights on Monday nights, $2 shoe rental. So, Mix, when you get back from the tour, if you like to throw down the ball.
rolling, man, for $1.
Yeah,
Baseballs?
Yeah, $1 bowling night and $2 shoe rentals. So it beats other bowling establishments out here in the Great Northwest. So I definitely commemorate you, Marcus, for doing the bowling. When's the next one? Do you have one on the books?
Well, we do it around November, October-ish every year, and we have to schedule around the current guys and their different events because I like to get a lot of those guys to come out. A lot of people, you say my name, but you say Richard Sherman. I guess you can't say him anymore because he's gone. But other guys that's on the team that's current, I like to bring them out too and get the fans exactly what they want. So around Christmas time, I'll be doing it.
What is your take? Let's touch on it right now. What's your take on obviously what the Hawks organization's been doing?
That's what I want to hear.
Yeah. With Sherman and letting a lot of talented players go. And before I give you the mic here, Marcus, is the thing that frustrates me as a Seahawks fan that goes to games is, and correct me if I'm wrong, is whenever a player leaves the team to go to another team, they become incredibly better. They become just so much incredibly better, and if I was in Sherman's position, or any player out there in that position, I mean, obviously as a 49er, you come back here, you're going to want to stomp all over your old team, just because just the rivalry and everything built up. But I'm sure you're friends with a lot of these guys on the roster that moved on to bigger and better opportunities. At the end of the day, money's money. But from a player standpoint, what are your thoughts on it?
Well, it's always about the money. Just like you said, it's about business. And that's on both sides. That's on the player side, and that's on the organization side. Richard Sherman can't be a Seahawk for 50 years. It doesn't work like that. So eventually, he's going to have to move on to where he either retires or he gets hurt or something happens and you just move on. So this is one of those things that I think in Richard Sherman's case, he sees his value as different than the organization sees it. I went through it as a player. My last years, I was hurt though, so I kind of had to take what I can get. I always tell people for my last couple of years, I felt like I stole money because, to be honest, I didn't have to be on the team, but they came to me and was like, "True, okay, if you want to be on the team, you got to take a pay cut." And I took it because if I knew if I went somewhere else, I might not get that opportunity. So I did that, but in Richard Sherman's case, he's coming off an injury. He's young. He's still doing well, so he can go out and ball. And as you see, the 49ers, they value him very high, and I think that's just really what it came down to. Sherm, you can say what you want to, that he's going to be out for the Hawks. He wants to come back, and he wants to play well, of course, but it's really about the money.
Right. $39 million for 3 years, right? Is that what I heard?
What did he have? $39 million.
3 years.
3 years, something like that. So that's some good coin.
Yeah. And Frank, I think Frank, what did I heard Frank's deal was pretty was up there too in the 40s or 50s, but I know it recently happened. So you know what? I wish these guys only the best in their career. And like I said, business is business and money's money, and you got to take care of yourself. You got to take care of your family. Yeah, please.
I want to say one thing on this. I had there was a Twitter fire that started because I made a comment to Richard Sherman, basically saying,
Let's talk about it.
Yeah, I just told him I wished him luck, but I also pointed out the fact that hopefully people saw what happened to him and understood why he was talking about the way athletes negotiate deals needs to change. It really, what Richard said that I didn't understand it at first, and then I saw what happened to him and I really paid attention to it. What Richard was saying is front load your deals and make them short term, like NBA deals.
Yep.
Right? Because even though you might get a $150 million deal, but only $30 million is guaranteed. So why are you giving them the option for those extra years? Something he said a while back, and people torched him. One guy responded and said, "Listen to you two millionaires. You guys can't live on $2 million a year." Did you say that about Paul Allen?
Yeah, exactly.
You see what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like the capital's being generated, so he wants his worth.
Yep.
And it frustrates me when I'm sure as a player, when the fans blame it on the athlete. The man had an Achilles and they dropped him, right? What's he supposed to do?
Right, exactly.
He burned his jersey. Y'all see
Yeah,
the
man,
jersey
how do you
burned
do
it?
that?
Yeah.
I'm probably the oldest one in this room, so let me say this. I saw Jim Zorn, all right? I saw when they sucked.
Yep.
I saw Dave Craig. I lived through those years.
Steve Largent. Yep.
And that defense, Bennett, all those guys, man, there was something that changed in this town because it used to be the only people you saw at the Seahawks game was cats at a Starbucks.
Yep.
Now you see big, crazy, pot-belly fans just going nuts.
Yep.
And it turned this town, man. For people to now all of a sudden get mad at him because he wants his value. I mean, if you're a welder, can I just walk in because you twisted your ankle and tell you, well, we're going to give you a pay cut?
Right.
No, you're going to go somewhere else.
Doesn't
as
work
well.
like that. No,
it's just business. I just wanted to say that because
I'm glad you did.
It's unfair the way people are jumping on him and Michael Bennett. It tripped me out, man.
Yeah, no, I completely agree too. It's like I said earlier on my show here, Studio110.live, Monday through Friday, 1 to 3. If you're just tuning in right now, I got two very special guests. Not to say that you're not special, Jeremy. I mean, you're a personal friend, so you are special. But I got Jeremy Todd, I got Sam Mix-a-Lot, I got Marcus Trufont, and I haven't shouted out my wonderful producer, my show producer, and my assistant, my right hand, Erica. We won't say people's last names for security purposes, but Erica definitely has done a tremendous amount of work, Erica, and I want to thank you.
She's awesome.
I want to thank you, Erica, for I'm putting you on the spot here, so I want to thank you for all the hard work that you've done.
Where you meet Erica at, man?
Erica was actually was introduced to me through Aaron here. Aaron is one of the partners up here. Aaron is on the tech side. You had an opportunity to meet Aaron before, and Aaron is one of the smart brains up here, and I'm very glad with Aaron's.
I was coming in here, man, and I'm looking for an Erica. So I'm thinking, I do TV and stuff all the time. I'm thinking it's gonna be a girl with some headphones on, kind of built like me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I see her, but I'm like, nah, that can't be her. She's just too fine. I'm like, come on now.
Yeah.
And it was her. I'm like, damn.
And and you're familiar with radio mix. I mean, you're familiar with radio. I mean, how many show producers and then assistants in your time in the music business are at Erica's standards? I mean,
Zero.
See, Erica,
Zero. Most of them chicks look like me. Real talk. I'm serious.
Yeah.
I'm serious, man.
And would Marcus, would you agree on that too?
I would agree as well, and I'm new in the game, so now I guess my standard is high now. If this is how it's supposed to look. Yeah, I'm trying to follow what you're doing, man.
Right.
Well, I'm firing all my producers right now. Please.
Well, Marcus, both of you, I want you guys to be regular guests on my show, and Mix, obviously, 47 cities have to take the priority, but Marcus, you said you'll be as regularly as you can, and I didn't get a chance to also personally thank you for. You're leaving tomorrow, but you rerouted your trip that you're leaving tomorrow to be here for my brand new kickoff show. So I really appreciate that, man.
No problem. I got your back, man. I got you. Bro.
I appreciate that, man. We go way back. So it's all about relationships and not burning bridges, especially in the music business and radio. And unfortunately, a lot of people do that, and they pay the price.
This is all businesses.
Yep.
Trust me. Try the record business.
Yep. Yeah, it's definitely cutthroat.
Believe that.
Cutthroat. Marcus, any interest in, I'm meaning to ask you this, and, you'd obviously be a strong candidate, but any interest to, get on, back with a team and organization on a coaching capacity or representing players just with your knowledge and, background, in the NFL arena?
Well, I get this question all the time. As far as coaching, I tell people that I want nothing to do with coaching at all. Because as a player, you put in tons of time and you miss holidays, you miss birthdays, just like in the music business and anything. You miss so much time away from your family. I'm a family guy. I got 5 kids. I got a wife. So, I like being involved. I like to go to those ballet recitals. I like to go to those sports games, all that kind of stuff. So, in being a coach, you spend more time actually than the players do in the building. So, I have no interest in doing that, but what I would say as far as on the NFL level, to be able to be like a mentor or something like that for guys that even while they're playing, but even more so in the transition away from the game and what you have to do and what your mindset has to be and how you have to reinvent yourself. I know you were a football player, but you're 29, 30-something years old. After you're done, and you got a lot of life to live, and that's why you hear about all these horror stories, and you see the stuff on ESPN, guys going broke, you got the stuff with suicides, there's all these stuffs in your relationships, so you got to have a plan, and that's really what it's about, and I'm still learning. I hear the stuff that Mix is talking about, how you save money, and you cut corners, and you do this and do that, all that's game, and you got to soak that up, and you got to learn that, and you got to be not too big or too proud to ask for help and just soak up some game and learn. And that's what I'm here to do, is teach some of the younger guys that are coming up and just try to help. I would love to do that. So eventually I would like to maybe go over to the Seahawks and be able to sit down with them and talk to players that are going to be in my position, in due time.
Yep.
So, and just be able to give back in that way.
That's interesting. I'm going to chime in real quick because
you're the co-host today, Mix. So.
I just got to ask.
You're the co-host.
I just got to ask him because
you're the co-host.
I totally agree with everything you just said. But when you're dealing with a group of people, in my situation, it was like rap artists. In situations like athletes, they make their money with their bravado and confidence and almost arrogance. You have to have that, right? But how do you tell that same dude, hey man, when you flip the 2 Bentleys, it really wasn't necessary, bro. And then you hating, right?
Right, and that's what it is. And at the same time, I think you gotta show and prove just to be able to get in the room with them. So, I've done pretty well. I transition, and what I do, I'm involved with self-storage in those buildings. So that's been my major transition from the game. So it's not sexy, it's not the cutest thing, but it's been good for me. So just doing stuff like that and learning from people and not being too proud. And just like you said, you have to have that about you, but at the same time, you got to be able to be a student of the game, and a lot of athletes are that. So if they can see something like I look at Mix, and I want to learn what he's doing. I want to learn the game in that way, and I think you got to get with those certain guys, and certain guys have to learn the hard way, or whether they of course they fall and they trip and stuff may happen, but then they look to you, and then they reaching out to you. So I always want to be. Just want to be in that position to where I can help guys like that.
Yeah, because I'm going to tell you, I had to learn the hard way. I mean, I went completely bankrupt.
Oh, I remember.
Yeah, I went in the mid-'90s, man, and it was like a combination of the IRS and all this stuff. So at first, it was everybody else's fault. It's like, oh man, my homie did this, so-and-so did this, this girl did that, right? And I realized nothing good was happening because my spirit was in the wrong spot.
Right.
And I didn't realize that for a long time. And then I just made up my mind, all right, you know what? About to switch this up and start grinding and getting back. Not that I was gonna try to make another baby got back, because that's stupid. When you do that, you look desperate, right?
Yep.
But I started diversifying and finding other ways to make money. And then all of a sudden, the Pussycat Dolls called, and Ness told me about the track. And they called one of the used swaths, and bam! But I knew this time, I said, when this one blow up, this ain't happening again. And I had a buddy of mine tell me, he said he never met a rich man that went broke twice.
It's true.
That's heavy. That's heavy right there.
That
Yeah.
second opportunity, I'm like, I'm serious. Not that I'm the Grinch, but I can look at something now and I can appreciate the beauty of it.
Yep.
You know, I'm a car freak, but I got a Lamborghini Aventador. I'm good.
You're reading my mind, so I just wanted to get in actually to the car collection. You're an avid car collector. People see you.
I used to be a collector. I stopped doing that.
Well, people see you in the Lambo clubs. You know, you're around in the Lambo clubs when you're here before you're touring and doing shows. So what do you got right now in the parking lot at the house?
I'm on a car diet, man. So I got the Lamborghini. I got a S550 Benz, you know, and I'm getting ready. It's a lease. That's nothing. You athletes, entertainers, lease them Benzes, because they ain't worth that. The resale on them is garbage.
Yep.
Just lease it. Put a minimum amount down. If you got a lot of bread, I always say put zero down. Lease it for 3 years. Make all your payments with one payment and give it back in 3 years because it's worthless.
Yep.
And just treat it like toilet tissue. I hate to say that, but that's what it is. So I got the Benz. I'm about to, I don't know, I might go into a S63 or something different. And I got the Sprinter. And I got an Infiniti QX80, and that's it.
I thought you had a truck too.
Yeah, no, the QX80 is a truck.
Oh, the QX80 is a truck. Okay.
You know, I don't do no pickup trucks. Stop doing that. But I'm telling you the truth. I'm more into, you know, I got 3 nice pieces of real estate. You know, 4 really, if you include. I had the adjacent land next to my house, and I found out from a bunch of friends that I have, Tom Nault and guys in my car club, they taught me that a rich man's retirement plan is real estate, not just a 401k.
Yeah.
And I realized that when you can knock that principle down, and you say that's it and hang it up, that real estate, all you do is flip one crib.
And what do you got right now? The real estate portfolio.
I got a couple of homes here. I got about an 11,000 square footer in Auburn.
Great.
And that's on 10 acres. I got.
Is that the newest one?
Yeah.
Okay. And that's where the home studio is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where the home studio is. And I had another one in Auburn that was only a mile from that one. I sold that. And then I got the one that my mom was in, and I'm gonna hang on to that one for a minute. And I got another piece of 10 acre piece next to my new one, and then an 80 acre piece in Eastern Washington. I wish that we got some kind of not a homeowners association, but a landowners association. They're the dumbest people I ever met in my life. Yep. They're trying to figure out what to do with this. Like, we're gonna have farms. It's Moses Lake, ain't nothing but dust. Yep. What are the cows gonna eat?
Yeah.
It's like, I don't understand. I got a cat right now, right? Wants to do this marijuana thing. I said he can use my land, not other people. No, we don't want him to do that. What y'all gonna do? We just gonna sit there and look at this dirt I've had it. Don't get me started, man.
But seriously though, at the end of the day though, like if it's your land though, and you bring up a good point though about the marijuana side of the business. Obviously, more and more people are getting into it. They see the potential. A lot of people are getting on the
stores. You missing the boat. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. There's money in it, but I'm gonna throw this out there.
Please do.
Just saying it. I don't even smoke weed. Don't smoke weed, don't drink, don't smoke cigarettes, none of that. But
I don't either. I'm
a businessman, and I'm telling you right now, you can do it at the retail level, and eventually you're going to get wiped out. However, right now, it is not legal in all 50 states.
Correct.
Federally, it's not legal, correct?
Correct.
Which means that when Philip Morris decides we're going to sell weed, California, Oregon, and Washington, where are they going to get it from? You dumb bastards. You own the property.
Right.
Then you grow. You put the grows together, and then Philip Morris comes to town, and they go, oh, we already got somebody set up right here. Let's just buy him out.
Yep.
Boom, you turned it. You're gone.
Yep.
That's where the money's at. And I see one of my buddies in California starting to, there's Tamika.
We got it. Come on in. Go on.
Come on in. You can sit here with Jeremy.
Please have my seat.
Welcome to the show. So, Mix, before we get to your artist here, take a seat right here, please. Before we get to your artist, you mentioned something just a second ago about how either it was the neighbors or whoever was giving you a hard time. But at the end of the day, it's your property. So, like,
Well,
I mean,
what it is that there was one family that owned like 14,000 acres, right? And they sold it with the understanding that whatever were to happen with it because of the county, we all had to do the same thing.
yep.
So my initial idea, this is before the whole legalization thing, I said, well, look, if you really can't do farms here, the water table's at 300 feet. So we could do houses. We were going to do upper middle income homes because BMW was going to do a plant in Moses Lake. And then they got taxed by our governor, who then was Christine Gregoire, and they left. They went to North Carolina, something you hear all the time. So we couldn't really work on that. I thought about windmills. They're like, no, we don't want to do that. I'm like, oh my God. It's a bunch of hillbillies, man.
That would bother me though. Like if I had, I mean, obviously, I don't, but 11,000 square feet of property, and I wanted to do what I wanted to do with it. And
Oh no, I'm not talking about my house. I'm talking about Moses Lake. I got 80 acres.
Yeah,
And
no.
it's like, man, you better. What are we gonna do? It's just dust.
no, but I thought you also mentioned something though about your house. The neighbors around your house were giving you a hard
Oh,
time.
ain't nobody bothering me about my house.
No? Okay.
No. I got one dude real cool, Russian dude. We take care of each other. We good. Because
Good.
I got a 150 kW generator. When my power go out, he's happy because he plugs right into me.
It's good to have a backup generator.
Yeah, that way he
yes.
can't say nothing. I could fart outside and on his front porch he wouldn't say nothing. I could plug him in.
Let's give your special guest here who just walked in the studio. If you don't mind, put the headphones on here and.
She didn't know she was gonna be on there.
Well, you know what? Anything can happen on my brand new show.
She's sitting here like, I'm telling you, I didn't know. So
If you don't want to be on, no problem. But I thought, hey, you're Mix's artist, and Mix is a close dear friend of mine for many years. If you just want to introduce yourself and let everybody know, you're on Studio 110.live, my brand new show, Dirty Harry in the afternoons. Coming back to the radio business. I missed it, and extremely happy to be back. But welcome to my show.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
I like your jacket. I'm super into fashion, and I can appreciate. See my leather jacket here behind me?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I can appreciate the look all day.
Oh,
So,
Harris. Yeah, he does. Harris likes a few things, but we won't say that on the air because he can say more about me than I can say about him. So we'll leave that alone.
well, we're going to talk about fashion too, especially my guy Jimmy, who I connected you with in New Jersey.
Jimmy's
but,
cool.
But let's talk about you.
Oh, okay. Well,
I want to learn more about you. And so does my boy Marcus over here.
Yes,
Have you
I
guys
do.
officially met here?
No, I
This
am
is Marcus Trufont.
Very nice to meet you.
Hi, very nice to meet you.
A star
I know
player.
who
This
he is.
okay. All right.
I don't know him, but I know him.
Very nice to meet you.
Yes. Tacoma, right?
T-Town.
That's
Hey,
right.
hey, man, that's
Hey.
2 shout-outs today,
Hey.
Harry.
There you go.
Hey.
Many more to come, Marcus.
Yes,
This is
sir.
only the beginning.
Yes, sir.
I went to Lincoln. Shout out to Lincoln High
Oh,
School.
okay.
I went to Roosevelt.
Oh.
Yeah, I went to Roosevelt.
That's not there.
And she says, "Oh, not really realizing that Mix and I both went there." But,
I think
Right.
T-Town got it right now. Let's just sit down and let them handle this.
So let's talk about you.
All right. Well, my name is Tamika Williams. I am a soul artist and working on a new project called Beautifully Complicated. And yeah, it's been a journey. So
Great, beautifully
Finally.
complicated. So I want to hear more about Beautifully Complicated. When can we expect it? What surprises do you have up your sleeves? I mean, you're one of Mix's artists, so obviously you're in a better position than most people. So
Yeah, I mean, I think, this has been, we worked on a project called The Black Hood a couple years ago, and that was when I was exploring music, exploring like what I wanted to do. So we did a lot of different genres with rock, hip hop, R&B, and then finally, took a while and went back to school and just had some life experiences and thought, I'm much older, I had heartbreak, a real heartbreak, and wanted to talk about just life. So we decided to just do what we normally do, which is just sit around, have lunch, dinner, and just talk about subjects, just life. And of course we get into it sometimes, and then we just decided, let's just start doing music. So it's just been a free thing for me to do this time around, instead of just trying to make a hit or trying to do something that's going to be played on the radio. It's just I want to do music, what I love to do, and that's my passion. So we've just been recording and just playing by ear. Let's see, the first single, Cry.
Yeah, we're working on that tonight.
when can I expect to hear Cry? When can I play on my new show?
Pretty soon.
Yeah.
Can I be the first to play with your permission?
I guess so. It ain't like it used to be. Oh, sorry, we can't give you that. We got to
Ricardo signed
off on it. He's cool. But the song, she's not giving herself enough credit because anybody that knows me knows I don't just produce artists.
No, you don't.
Because it's kind of takes the fun out of it. When somebody says, I want to make a hit, it sounds like, come on, man, let's make music. And then if it hits, it hits. If it doesn't. But when you try to make it, you get disappointed. And we were just sitting there one day trying to come up with something. And this song was another song. This Cry song was another song that I came up with some music for. And she said, I'm going to do some stuff in 4/3 time, right? So it turned into almost some Otis Redding, like boom.
Really? I like that. I like it.
Chord progressions and stuff like that. My mom heard it. And she's like, that's real music. You know what I'm saying? So I knew we're having fun exploring it.
Great.
But for me, I don't want to take the front seat on it because if I do, then she's only as big as I used to be. Right? And if she's going to reach her max potential, I'll help her get to that point, and I'll pull back. Just watch it.
That's great. How did you meet? How did the initial engagement happen?
Oh gosh, that's pretty funny. I was on the talent show scene, trying to do talent shows and so forth. And I met this gentleman who worked at a radio station and was like, hey, I want to manage you, I want to get you out there and so forth. And he had said that he knew Mix. And at first I was like, okay, what they gotta do with me? He rap. I don't do rap. And so he was like, no, you need him. And so he had set this meeting up, and he never showed up. So I ended up going to the meeting by myself. And we met, talked for a minute, and that was that. And then I think he called me, about 2 weeks later? Called me about 2 weeks later, and we actually just had a straight up conversation. We talked for hours, and then we decided to work together. And that person just didn't work out, but we started.
Those managers just like,
one of those. But we developed, started talking about what I wanted to do. And I was pretty young. I mean, I was still having my dad come with me to his studio to record.
You want I think the word slut in it.
It had ass, actually.
It was ass. I looked down, he's like, I will come up in there like, no sir, this is, this is, I make sure I correct it.
Yeah.
But I respected that. He was like, okay, she's got that. She has a family that I don't really have in my family, even though I have a big family. We're all over the place, some Vegas, but when I saw that family unit like that, I hadn't seen that since I was a kid. So it's like, I tell her, don't ever let that go.
Right.
Hang on to that for dear life.
And speaking of that, I want to get back to you, but he just mentioned something about family, and this is another thing that Mix and I have in common. I'm not going to touch on it deeply, but the way Mix took care of his mother was so special to me. And I'm not going to get too into it because I respect people's privacy, but the reason him and I are so similar on that is I took care of my mother before I lost my grandmother. And Mix and I have something in common. You don't put your family members in any sort of facilities if you can afford not to. And Mix was one of the best sons that I can ever recall that I've ever met. Who took care of his mom the way you took care of your mom. And that's always Mix and I go back, I don't know, 15, 20 years. And I just always, every time I talk to him, I always asked him, unfortunately his mom is passed. But I just really reminded me of how I took care of my grandmother and had dinner with her every evening. And Brad visited with her. And so I can't give you enough amount of credit for being the son you were to your mother.
Oh man, for me, what's funny is I'm kind of glad that when this stuff kind of happened with my mom, that I was older. Because there's a obsession you have when you're 20, 30, all you think about the next paycheck, the next fine chick, the next whatever. You're not really on that. And mom's okay. And my sister was the one that changed me.
Yep.
Yeah, she came up here and I don't know. I was still doing good. She was just like, you need to slow down and kick it with mom.
Yep.
Not when she's sick. Not when she don't come see her when she's down and out. Kick it with her. Take her out to dinner, and that we were like this, best friends.
Yep.
You know, how many times did I tell you? I would see where you used to work, and I'd be like, running over, take mom to Cheesecake Factory. You know, that's what we did every day. We went out to do something, and Tamika's like that on steroids. And people were like, a couple of the guys in my group were teasing her, like, your mama's girl, and daddy, I'm like, stay that way. Believe that, because when you ain't got one, too late. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Real talk.
Sorry, Mix, I can't thank you enough for joining the show, Marcus Trufont, and introduce yourself again, please, to the listening audience.
This is Tamika Williams. That's who I am.
Awesome. And before we go to a quick 5-minute break here on the show, I want to ask you, because I always like to ask artists a few different questions. My first question is, if there's any artist out there that you could do a collaboration with or be featured on their record, be featured on their record, who's that one artist that you would love to have the opportunity to record with?
Ooh. Are you asking me?
I am.
Oh.
Yeah.
Do they have to be alive?
Be hard if it wasn't.
It's fantasy stuff.
Yeah. You could go to the grave and try to do something.
Yeah.
Who would that be? You know, the typical answer would be Beyonce, which I love. I love her. You know what? Actually, I would love to. I'd love to work with Rihanna. I think that would be pretty dope because I feel like she is a free spirit, and I think we could learn from each other.
I could definitely see that.
Yeah. I think that would be pretty dope if we could collab on something. I think she could teach me a couple of things, of course, right? And then vice versa, just vibing off of each other.
Well, you never know. You never know. I feel like that's how the world kind of evolves and operates. Is you could be on tour. Managers can know each other, and just kind of like that. You know,
I put it out in the atmosphere. I'm always about the universe. Let it happen.
I mean, look at not to get off subject here, but look at Cardi B.
Right.
Look at Cardi B. Look at Migos. I mean, Migos being on doing Saturday Night Live. Cardi B. The level that she's at right now, and. I've been hearing the amount of money those artists are asking for.
I will say this. I'm a little worried on Cardi B.
What are you worried about?
Not worried about her talent. But what I'm worried about is I've seen this before. Is that when you're the hot thing, everybody wants to get down with you, right? So you're gonna be. Don't get me wrong. You know, working on Mars, that's genius. But what I'm saying is you have a bunch of cats that want to use it for features. And remember what happened to Kim when she did it? What happened to the rap when she did that? They flame women out by using them on everybody else's record. And I'm not her big brother, but if I was, I'd be like, do you now? Get the paper now because you keep doing these features, you're going to be done.
Before we go to break, we're going to come back with this. We're going to tease a good little radio teaser to keep the listeners here. We have a lot of listeners, a lot of artists and listeners listening together, and I want you to give them your one piece of critical critique advice. For a new emerging new artist, whether they want to get signed. So after we come back from a technical break here, my staff here telling me we're going to take a 5-minute break, and then we'll be back to my brand new show, Studio 110 Live, my brand new radio show, Dirty Harry is back on the radio. If you're just tuning in right now, put it on Facebook, put it on IG, Studio 110 Live. I got Marcus Trufont in here, I got Mix-a-Lot in here, I got a beautiful female in here who happens to be some Mix-a-Lots, new artists. We'll continue the conversation with her, Jeremy Todd, Erica, my boy DC behind here, and I'm excited to get back on the radio. We'll be back in a few minutes.
There you go.
There we go. There we go. We had a couple technical problems there, but looks like we worked out the kinks. Sometimes you have that on first shows, you know, first show, sometimes it's not so uncommon to work out a couple kinks. But if you're just tuning in again, Studio110.live, my brand new radio show, Dirty Harry's back on the radio. I got some special guests here in the studio. So I was just speaking here to Sir Mix-a-Lot's brand new artist. Reintroduce yourself again for me, please.
My name is Tamika Williams. I'm a soul R&B artist.
And you mentioned just before we went to a commercial break that if there's any artist out there that you would like the opportunity to work with, it would be Rihanna.
Yes.
And you mentioned that you feel like you and Rihanna would head it off in multiple ways and be able to probably most likely get a huge record out there together.
I think so. I mean, it's just about, I think she's one of those artists that takes a lot of chances and has grown up in this business to where she has had to stand up for herself. You know, coming in, she probably didn't. I'm just assuming, but just coming in and now being her own woman and dealing with a lot of different things that go on in the business and just in womanhood as well. I think we would definitely vibe.
What before I get to Mix here, and I'm even going to ask Marcus this too, if you can. I know you may have to leave, Marcus, and if you do, safe travels, and we'll see you next time you come on my show. But what's the one piece of advice, you know, from you being an artist that you would give to an up and coming artist that's, you know, ultimately trying to acquire their dream? You know, a lot of people don't have the opportunities to, you know, have an opportunity to meet with Sir Mix-a-Lot and get into a studio and record a song and go on tour. So what's that one piece of advice you'd give to an up-and-coming emerging artist?
You know, it's kind of twofold. I would say definitely patience, because you're going to need it in this business, period. And really, you know, I know it says it's cliche, but believe in yourself. And when I say that, I mean you will have moments of self-doubt. You will have moments of feeling like this is never going to happen. You're going to have jealous moments. You're going to have all kind of different things, but you have to remain true to yourself. And if the door is closed on you, find another way to get in that door. Find another way to make your own door, you know, make your own way into where you want to be, and be okay with who you are, because that's what makes you who. And one thing I've learned is somebody might not like it, but there's always someone that will. And
Right.
You will find your tribe. And once you find your tribe, there's nothing else that you need to do but just be true to who you are and who you are as an artist.
And what makes you happy? Like, what would you say makes you happy, not only for like your brand, but like what you're ultimately trying to like connect to your fans, like on an advice scale, like, you know, ultimately, like what makes you happy when you wake up in the morning? What's that one thing that you try to achieve to, you know, furthermore your career or just being a better person? Because I think, you know, that the reason I'm, you know, excited to speak to you is, you know, you're a beautiful young lady who has a lot of strong potential on the very near horizon, and you know, you're teamed up with, you know, one of the greatest in the business here. So I think, you know, he laughs, but he's a modest guy. So.
Yeah, baby faces outside waiting.
Oh, L.A. Reid is down the hall. But what's that? What would you say is like that thing that makes you happy? Because I think a lot of people today, like, you know, everybody has different issues that they're trying to overcome.
You know, for me, it's my faith, but also it's my family. Honestly, I have a beautiful sister and mom and dad that support me. And they are the ones that when I don't think I'm good enough, just day to day, they're the ones that are there to either kick me in the butt or, you know, lift me up. I think for me, it's just more or less every day is a day to be thankful and a day to set a new goal and to try your best to achieve it. And if you don't achieve it, you got the next day to do it. So that's what makes me happy, getting up and doing what I love to do. I mean, Ant can tell you, or Mix can tell you that I used to, you know, I worked a 9 to 5 every day. And I, you know, was always plan B. I went to college, I did all of those things, and then it just kept calling. Music just kept calling. It wasn't a day that, I mean, music is with me. I sing all the time, even at work. I mean, I was working in corporate and just at my desk singing. And I got really depressed at one point where I felt like, this is never gonna happen. I'm not good enough. You know, nobody's interested in us or anything. And then Anthony would always be like, it's going to be all right, Meek, it's going to be all right. And I'm just like, no, you don't understand. As this artist, it feels like it's in your chest. and you can't get it out. Like it feels like a whole nother being is in you, and you can't get it out. So people don't know, and you're just constantly fighting with yourself until finally you just go, okay, you know what? I'm just gonna do what makes me happy. And once I figured I can't live for somebody else, you know, bills will get paid, things will happen. I just need to focus on what makes me happy, because that is the ultimate goal. Because once you're happy, then the people around you will be happy, and that's contagious for other people.
And the audience senses it.
Yep.
They can detect phoniness. I've only seen one act ever make it not doing what they felt, and that was Milli Vanilli. That's it. Mm-hmm. Really, and I'm saying that because somebody wrote something, somebody else sang it, and they just got on stage and danced it, but it wasn't their tracks.
Yep.
Right? But other than that, everybody I know with a hit record, nobody went in the studio going, I gotta make some money. I gotta earn. They did it because they loved it.
Yep.
It was the passion, and the audience can sense that.
And that's what's always gotten me to just get excited and just take on that next level of anything that I'm trying to achieve. Being from radio to the creative side of radio to my past to my future, is I think I said earlier on my show when I kicked it off is. And Mix, you touched on this earlier too. Is a lot of people will say no, but there's always a way to turn it around and say yes. And what you said earlier was just so powerful that whether it's depression levels or you just don't feel like you can just conquer that dream that you ultimately want to conquer. Whether it's like you said, you have the 9 to 5, but look where you're at from there. And look how you've taken that to where you are now, and how you've built, and ultimately like your happiness level, and just and it's not just about where you're at right now; it's about where you're at now and where you're going. Ultimately,
absolutely, yeah.
And it also takes a certain level of. I think I love talking to successful people, whether it be athletes. A lot of tech guys are my friends. I happen to know one of the forefathers of Microsoft, and they all have this certain level of ADD, this certain level of tunnel vision, and what's going on out there, they don't even see it. Because they're so passionate about what they're doing, they just keep going. And they're not aiming at money. They're not aiming at success. That never works, right? Because it's fake.
Yeah.
They just keep going to finish what they're trying to get done. And then they back up and go, oh, damn, these people like this? That's really how it happens. That's how it happened with me. I mean, when I did Posse on Broadway, it was just for us.
Yep.
I was just talking about Seattle streets. And I was like, if I can make the cats in the hood like it. And all of a sudden, I looked up and they were asking me to do shows in San Francisco because they have a Broadway.
Yep.
Arizona had a Broadway. New York had a Broadway.
Yep.
Everybody had a Broadway. They thought I was talking about their town. So, but it was all a series of accidents. But it was a passion.
Yep.
And just keep the passion. I was always telling Tamika, don't try to be something you're not. An artist and an entertainer are two different things. Entertainers, they dance. They dance and they sing other people's songs. That's why. She's the one that gave me this phrase. When you watch like American Idol, and she said it's nothing but high-end karaoke, because it is. And those aren't artists.
I like karaoke.
Don't get me wrong. That's her thing, But I'm not saying that they can't sing, but that's an entertainer. Entertainers sing and they can dance, but artists can make product. They can create a song, and they may not be the greatest singers. Ray Charles wasn't the greatest singer, but you felt that music.
Yeah.
And that's why we talk about soul all the time. And I grew up on soul, and there's a big difference between soul and R&B.
Yep. Huge.
There's nothing wrong with R&B. There's nothing wrong with pop.
Yep.
But remember, when it's pop, that means it's popular, right? That's it.
Yep.
But soul is something raw.
Yep.
And you can tell the difference. I tell you what, go in a Baptist church. Listen to that singing. That's soul.
Yeah.
And then go down and listen to watch some girl in a miniskirt trying to do the same thing. It doesn't resonate.
No, it doesn't flow. What's your advice, Ness? Excuse me. I don't know why. I keep on saying Ness. Because Ness is listening, and Ness is texting me in California right now, saying how good the show sounds, and he wanted to definitely shout you out, Mix, and tell you that.
Ness is the man.
But Mix, excuse me, I'm sorry. What's that one piece of advice you give to new artists today that hit you up on, social or through management for some critical pieces of advice to ultimately become a Mix-a-Lot?
Well, don't try to become a Mix-a-Lot. That would be the first piece of advice I'd give them. And Tamika will tell you this. I have problems with artists who have talent, but they squelch their talent to try to be somebody else. Because right now, if you rap like this, if you do that, you flowing now, right? But it's like
Shout out to Migos. Yeah.
No, I'm just everybody. It's not, but what I'm saying is what happens when that plays? When they play out, you go with them.
Right.
Right? So you get a lot of that. I mean, when I had cats that know me know that I can spit with cats that can flow.
Right.
But the songs that I did that hit, Baby Got Back, Posse on Broadway, I was just straight, basic rhyming. But if you listen to Daddy's Home, some of the stuff I'm spitting on it, people like, I didn't even know you could get out like that. But then people like Tech Nine, who I'm crazy about, he knew. But it's one of those things where I couldn't. It's what I want to do. It's what I love as an artist. But at the same time, people like clever humor.
Yep.
That clever humor I give them, I got to give them what they want. And it's part of me. But if it wasn't part of me, it would sound like garbage.
And speaking of Tech Nine, you said you're crazy about him, and
Yeah.
I've always admired
That's
Tech.
my
Like
dude.
Tech used to stop by the old former show all
Tech
the time.
Nine is the king of the way the business is now. Why is he making so much money? Because he was built for this.
Right.
The independent, he was already doing it.
He can come up here literally once a month and sell out.
Yes.
Hands down. Hands down.
Yeah, they just found out, they just announced that he is the highest grossing independent act ever.
Yeah, I saw that. Yep.
Ever.
Yep.
No matter what
Didn't know
genre of
that,
music it is. Think
Yep.
about that for a minute.
Yep.
Yeah, Tech Nine, if you're a youngster coming up, that should be your hero.
Yep.
The hell with the artistic side, but you need to pay attention to the business model because it works.
Are you looking to sign any new talent under your roster, or you just no?
No, that doesn't mean I'm not interested.
Yeah.
I really want to work with people. That's the fun. Like when Tamika comes over and we work on a track, I love her influence.
Yep.
Because if it's me, it's gonna be like Mix-a-Lot with good vocals.
Right.
And she'll come over now and she takes charge. Like we had a session the other night, and the guitar player's playing. So she's like, I want you to do this and do this and do that and do that. And I said, how do you know what a slide is? She give me like, I'm like, listen to Tamika. I sound like a producer. Producers talk weird. Like, give me the thump, 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 and then give me the thump, and then she was doing all that, and he was tearing it up. That is fun to me.
Yeah.
Because then if the song doesn't hit, we had a ball making it.
Yep.
You keep the expectations kind of low, and then something happens. That's the way it usually works.
Are you going out on this tour, or are you focused in the studio?
I'm focused on the studio.
Okay.
I've done a tour with him.
Okay.
And I have said I would not do one again.
Is there anything that can be brought up on that, or do we have to keep that off the air? Because I know it's
he was actually great. I'll just say this. I went on tour. I was in college. I was young. And I was like, oh, please let me go. I want to know about the road. And he's like, all right. And I was doing, I had worked on a project with him. So I was doing, come out and do my little piece and so forth. And I learned a lot on the road. But I learned also I was the only girl on this tour.
That was rough.
You're on a tour bus with nothing but men. I was tired of watching Paid in Full. I literally was like, listen, can we watch something else? American Idol is on. I'm tired of seeing titties and everything else. So, and he kind of let me drown. It was like one of those things. I was like, hey, you're supposed to help me. And he's like, yeah, so I'm going to go in the back and play Madden. And you're just going to have to deal with this.
But after a while, Tamika's handling her business, boy.
Yeah.
One cat tried to get smart with her. Whew. And they were, cracking jokes, right? Just cracking on each other, right?
Yeah.
And, first of all, if you're going to go in and you got a bunch of dudes, don't go in on the only girl. 'Cause if she fired back and and I'm talking about all of us, everybody fell out laughing. I ain't going to say what she said because then he'll know who he was and he'd get mad at me. But, oh my God, I'm talking about everybody on the bus was like falling out laughing. We still laugh about it.
I'm sure there's videos. I'm sure there's videos that I could probably that Mix would send to me for my enjoyment.
The revolution is not televised.
I just fly in now. I don't do the
you
whole...
fly in now?
Yeah, I don't...
Probably smart for doing that, right?
Yeah, fly in and then have my hotel room like way above. I'm like, hey, I don't want to be on the same floor. It's just, it's interesting, but I learned a lot. So.
When you walk through baggage claim or down the terminal, your name is on the card. The SUV driver's holding your name, so you just get in the vehicle, go to the hotel, and bypass the paparazzi. And
I wish I had paparazzi, but I don't.
We had a paparazzi issue one time. We were in L.A. out of a sushi place.
Oh.
And she knew. She was like, I think dude right there is TMZ. I'm like, why you say that? And this dude, he was just sitting there. I'm like, he just looked like he was just chilling, right? He had dreads. He was just sitting on the sidewalk. And when we came out, he just stood up. Whap! cameras on us. I was
But
like,
that's the problem. He never knows. Like this is the one thing. So if I can give you guys one thing about Mix is that he is not in the loop like I am. Like I'm like, we go places. We'll be in LA, and like I said, I'm like we're at dinner, and I'm like, hey, there's a lot of people out here. I said, I think he's with TMZ. Nah, man, he's just out here, and I'm like, you're in LA. You don't think anybody's gonna know who you are. He thinks nobody knows, and then literally we're on our way to another show. And he's on TMZ. And I said, I told you.
So
he never listens to me.
So the dude from TMZ stands up, right? And he puts the camera on me. And I knew, once I knew it was TMZ, I flipped. All right, put the mix-a-lot switch on. So Tamika's back here texting, right? And I'm here, Tamika's like, where you're at. And they're like, who's that? Who's that? And I said, oh, that's Tamika, right? He said, well, is that your girl? I just said it. I can't say it on your thing. I said, man, I've been trying to F her for like 6 months, dude. She ain't even give me her phone number. That was it. That was it, because that's all they needed to hear. Now, they aired it.
I'm sure they did,
but they left her alone. That's what I wanted. And I knew that if I went, oh, she doesn't like to be on camera, they would have tore her up. So I just made it look like, hey, I've been trying to get at her for years. She won't even give me her phone number. And that was it. Done deal. I can handle that, but she's right. Sometimes I don't think, when they start looking, I start looking around for the other, who just came in.
They're coming this way, and you're going that way. And good luck if you connect to the back alley. So that's the way I see that. Marcus, I know you have to take off here in a few minutes, but one last question I definitely want to ask you, and kind of switching from the music arena to the sports arena, and I'm sure I know people are coming up to you and asking you your advice to ultimately become an NFL star, and whether it's in this city or other cities that you travel to. What's the advice? Because we also have a lot of people, up and coming athletes that are trying to aspire their dreams to get an NFL contract.
I think there's a lot of similarities between probably in the music industry and the sports industry as well. You got to be yourself, and you got to grind through it. And as far as sports and in music, everybody wants to do that. Every kid, of course, that's coming up, okay, you watch people on TV, and you see the commercials, you go to concerts, and these are people you look up to. So this is something that I really want to do. I know as kids saying that. And even if you talk to a pro like myself, or you talk to Mix, you talk to anybody, we can only get you so far,
right,
or give you so much information, but it's really got to be in you.
You got to be hungry. You got to have that drive to acquire that dream. At the end of the day, you can't kind of rest your laurels and just expect that someone's going to open up that door. I mean, it happens occasionally, but
I can't get you to the NFL. I can't get you to the NFL. I know owners, I know players, I know other guys all around the NFL, but you got to be good, and you got to have that want to, and you just got to have that itch. Just like you said, you got to have that ADD about you. You got to be obsessed with the sport, about the workout, about everything, and you really just got to go all the way in, and that's what I tell the kids that I talk to that aspire to be college players, or they want to go pro. You got to be focused on your craft, and you got to block everything out. That could be friends, at times that could be family, that could be extracurricular stuff, and you definitely can't get in trouble, so you got to be focused on that. You got to have that tunnel vision. So I think it goes hand in hand when you talk about sports. Just getting to the next level in anything, I think you really just got to have that tunnel vision and focus in.
I want to ask Marcus this question.
Please.
I always wanted to get the... Because they always ask coaches and stuff, but how do you feel about college players getting paid? Because I think they should get paid like some kind of a minimum, so we can stop seeing the garbage we're seeing with the NC2A and they're acting like they just discovered something that was never going on. I mean, do you think they should or shouldn't?
Well, what can I compare it to? You can compare it to almost like a sweatshop.
Yep.
I mean, you got the big business that's out there, and they're making a ton of money, and they get away with saying, okay, well, we're giving these kids an education, which is good, but they're making so much money, it doesn't even up. The scale is tipped way too far in the institution's favor, so they definitely should be paying the kids a lot, I think. Yep. I don't think it should be a small amount. I think it should be a lot.
Yep, I agree. And I've like, it's a crime for me. Like, let's just say, Marcus is 20.
Yeah.
He goes to UW.
Yep.
Right? Playing safety, corner, whatever.
Yep.
And I dig him, right?
Yep.
So I'm an older cat. I got a little something, and he's just trying to eat. He's just trying to take Tamika out to eat.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
It's wrong if I give him a couple $100. That's wrong. I'm trying to figure out. So why? Right. So I could do that if he was working anywhere else, but if he plays in any NC2A based setup, I cannot even give him $500.
I had a scholarship, bro, and I used to have to cut hair on the side and able to have my little extra money to be able to go to McDonald's or do anything. Yeah. So I dig it, man.
And you know how much money? Look how much money is Duke generating, Louisville generating, North Carolina generating right now. You know, and it's just, it cracks me up where they single out a couple of people, you know, obviously Rick Pitino, and then they single out dude in Arizona, and although he's fighting back, which is good. But so what? So what if somebody got 20 grand? Who cares? You're pimping them anyway.
Yep.
And then you make them wear some shoes that they may not even want to deal with. You know, y'all got to wear Adidas because Adidas, you know, they sponsor the whole college.
Yep.
Or whatever. Yeah, it is. And it cracks me up. People, well, those kids are getting an education. They ought to be happy. Really? So basically, once again, I use my welder analogy. So if you're a welder and the company, let's say you're doing pontoons on the bridge.
Yep.
Right? And that contract that came in is, say, $30-40 million. And they give you $14 an hour. You feel okay about that? No.
Hell no.
No, and that's
Hell
all
no.
I'm saying.
Yep.
I agree. I always wanted to ask an actual athlete in person because that pisses me off, man.
And what do you think it would be worthwhile and, like, you know, good spending of their dollars, like, you know, like Sir Mix-a-Lot just said, you know, for these universities, for like their top talent to put them on some sort of TV platform, on some sort of commercial or some sort of endorsement opportunity.
That's another thing. They can't sell their own autographs.
Yeah. Like,
somebody got in trouble about that. I think it was Cam Newton, right?
Yeah, so did Johnny Manziel.
Yeah,
Johnny Manziel. You can't even sell your own autograph.
I mean, you would think though, like, I mean, you know, I don't want to get started on just kind of the, you know, from the commissioner, you know, down on the NFL, but you know, that's a whole separate conversation. But I feel like for these hungry, you know, college, you know, star players that are, you know, without a question going to get signed by these NFL teams, I would think that these, you know, pre-agents that see the talent, that see, you know, the whole discovery within these players, I would think that they would build some sort of, you know, pre-inter package into these players so they can have that TV, you know, they have the TV time and possibly
NC2A won't let it happen.
Yeah.
They're not going to let that happen. I mean, you make sense, but yeah, it's kind of weird. That's like a, it's kind of like a combination of the mafia and slave owners.
Yeah.
That's heavy.
When you
but
think about it.
Yeah, that's the perfect analogy.
I'm going to take any money you got coming in, but by the way, don't go out there and try to get none. I'll beat that ass.
Yep.
That's what it is, man. It cracks me up, man. These kids are out here starving and making millions for the school. And looking at the money, I saw the story on the Fab Five. And when I saw these guys giving interviews and talking about they were in Europe and people were wearing their numbers, their likeness, they didn't get $1.
That's just something wrong.
And they know it though. I mean, so you know,
it's crazy.
It's a nice business structure. If you're on that side of the fence, on that side, it's
and now they don't.
Great.
And now they want to stop the one and done. Please, you gave birth to the one and done. I mean, these kids got to eat, man. Come on now. But anyway,
have you thought? I'm gonna close it out with this, Marcus. But first off, I want to thank you for coming into the show today. And safe
Absolutely.
travels to wherever you're taking off to later this afternoon. And I hope you'll be a regular guest on my new show. So
absolutely, man. If you leave the door open, man, I'm here.
Hey, you know what? It's definitely
a door open for my manager.
It's as often as I can have you.
I had to knock twice, so I did have to knock twice. So it's hard for me to get in.
Well, the only reason that I didn't get up after the first knock is my headphones were on, and
Right.
I had people talking to me. So in the future, believe me, the first knock, there'll be an automatic switch here in my studio here that if I see on one of the cameras here, you're at the door, you know, that door can't open quick enough. So.
Oh, look at this. We just got more people.
So I
hang out with y'all.
I
There we
appreciate
go.
that. We got our next guest coming in. It's kind of
Police.
Change of the
Police
guard
just
here.
came in.
So Marcus,
This
thank you
whole
very much.
operation is getting shut down.
Doug B and his artist Andy Stokes have
Nice
just entered my brand new show. Thank you, Marcus.
What's that?
Andy, please take a seat here. We're live on the air here.
Good seeing you again, bro, since the Rose Festival.
What's up, man? You good?
Walking into the studio here are two good friends of mine. Dub B traveled nationally with Bone Thugs and Harmony and did a lot of music collaborations with a lot of artists, Snoop Dogg, and to name a few. and of course Sir Mix-a-Lot. Welcome to my brand new radio show. Andy Stokes, do you want to grab the headphones?
Glad to be here, man.
Great to have you, man. Great to have you. I want to kind of kick it off with this, that, most mornings when I turn on my television at my house, I'll see a depressing news topic.
Yeah.
But I just happened to turn on one day last week, and I saw my boy Andy on King 5 Morning News with the anchors smiling and having a good old time on the TV set. And, that made me really happy because I can't remember. I mean, Mix, you can tell me, but I think it's been a minute since we've had an artist on NBC local.
Well, I'm
You
glad.
get a little closer to my phone.
I'm glad to be one of them, I guess. Glad to be, was able to go on there and that they, supporting everything. That's good.
Well, I appreciate you coming into my brand new show. For you just all tuning in right now, today is my first show, Studio 110.live. Dirty Harry back on the radio after a little break, 19 years at the former radio station. But it's a pleasure to have you here in the studio, Andy Stokes. Let's make some noise for Andy Stokes.
Thank you. Glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
And my good friend here, Dub B here. So Dub and I had a conversation about you. This was several months back, and Dub told me about you, and I said if there's one producer / beat maker that I want you to work with, and I did everything that I could to open up that door, is the legendary DJ Battle Cat.
Yeah, that was a great experience with him, man.
And and then I get a call from Dub B saying that you're in the studio down in his LA home, and you're in the studio with Battle Cat.
Yeah, it was. That's all I got to say. It was tremendous. It
Right.
was the song is banging, and can't wait for people to hear it.
Well, we're gonna talk about that before we get more into the interview. I know you got two priorities out right now. You got obviously the song with Snoop Dogg, but right now the main priority is Best Day Ever, and I got permission. Here from management to play Best Day Ever on the radio. So should we kick it off with Best Day Ever? And then let's kick it off with Best Day Ever, and we'll learn more about Andy Stokes after we hear Best Day Ever. Brand new Andy Stokes here. Studio 110.live. Dirty Harry. Let's go.
Oh, baby. Oh, baby. I can't believe that you're in my life. Oh, I can't believe you became my wife. I really, baby, 'cause I've been waiting for someone like you. Yes, it's true. Me and you, baby. Oh, nobody else but you for me, girl. And let you know that, gotta let you know that, alright, that. And know that I wanna be that man for you, baby. Girl, it's the best day ever. It's the best day ever. It's the best day ever. You're the best day ever. It's the best day ever. Oh, yeah. Yes, it's the best day ever. It's the best day ever. The first time I laid my eyes on you, I knew that you were the one for me. Been waiting so long for you to come in my life, baby. Oh, there's no more waiting, no. 'Cause I'm here with you now, baby. Let me be the one who's gonna love you forever. It's the best day ever, baby. It's the best day ever. way you love me. I can't explain it sometimes, but it feels real good to me. Real good to me. Real good to me. Real good to me. And I love the way you love me, baby, baby. Baby. Oh, yeah. It's the best day. It's the best day for me. Oh, it's the best day ever. And do you know that? Do you know? It's the best day ever. The best day ever for me and you. Yes, it is. Do you know how I'm feeling right now? The best day ever. The best day ever.
Man, what a smooth sounding, crisp record, perfect weather time. You know, it's one of those records, Andy, that, you know, everybody knows that summertime in Seattle is just one of the best times to just, you know, get out there, get on the boat, hit the barbecues, get on the boat, and just do what you do. And it's just a smooth sounding, hot record. And, you know, when I'm talking about music, man, I'm brutally honest. And Dub played me this record weeks back, and I said, you know, you got a hit.
Thank you, man. It's a real good song, feel good music. That's, you know, that's what I like to do.
What do you think of that, Sir Mix-a-Lot?
Yeah, I taught him everything he knows about singing.
You know, I learned everything,
That's
everything
right.
from the boy. You know,
I just be hiding my talent. That's
you know,
all.
you don't need to talk about it all the time.
Yeah, I don't want to shine, man.
You know,
It's a Northwest thing. That's what it is.
Yeah.
It's a Northwest.
Northwest. They don't know nothing about that.
Right, right.
And congratulations to you, Dub B, for taking Andy under your wings with you know, the human Rolodex that you have. And you're am I hearing correctly? You're flying out tonight on a tour,
Man, we're going to Philadelphia tonight on a red eye.
and another
And-
guest that scheduled their tour around my brand new show. And I
Indeed,
appreciate
we're
it.
here to be with you, my brother.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, tomorrow morning we're going to be in Philly, and then we're going to be this time tomorrow on XM Radio at the headquarters in Washington, D.C. with Andy. Right now, you know, the record's 22 on Billboard, which is phenomenal. First Northwest artist to be charting on both the Billboard Adult R&B chart
Yep.
and Mediabase's Urban Contemporary chart. So, I mean, historical. And
It is historical.
we're going to go touch the South, and Andy's going to go bless him with his voice, and it's going to be beautiful.
Tell all my friends back east at XM I said hello. I know a number of them, and I'm sure you'll have a good time on with those guys.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one.
They'll take good care of you. They'll take good care of you. Then you'll be able to compare who treated you better, which radio show, Studio 110.live or
Look,
XM.
it's Northwest all day. That's it.
Yeah.
It's Northwest all day.
So
no
your,
matter where I'm going.
like your manager just said, number 22 on Media Base. I mean, number 1 on the indie soul record in the nation for the second week straight. I mean, that's huge, Andy. When you wake up in the morning, do you realize having the number 1 record out there? Like, do you realize the accomplishment?
Man, it's a different kind of feeling. You know, it's words that you know you can't say anything. It's just I sit and I just shake my head like, you know, long journey, and then you know it happens. And what do you say? You just look up and say thank you for giving me the help to be in the business this long to even have a number 1 hit. And
Well, I think you got a few of them because I mean I've heard obviously the follow up from the one that we just obviously played, Best Day Ever, on the radio on my brand new show. But we got an album coming out here. When the album is now, and when can we expect to have that in our rosters?
release date is April 16th. We are now in pre-sale, so
Okay.
But April 16th, and then we have we're gonna do the CD release party at Triple Door on the 17th of April.
Am I invited to that or?
Of course.
Okay. I don't have to wait in line. I don't have to wait in line to get in there or have a ticket or
Get there early.
a
That's all I'm
stamp.
saying.
Talk about the experience working with the legendary DJ Battlecat, who, by the way, I talked to him yesterday, and he's actually in the studio right now producing Dr. Dre's album.
Yes.
And before I have you talk about it, you and I have had many conversations in the past where you, and you very well could still be correct, Mix, but you felt like, us as, veterans in the music business, there would maybe be a day that we wouldn't have the opportunity to hear Detox.
Yeah, I especially when the Beats deal happened.
Yep.
Anybody's ever done any business with Apple? One of my best friends was had a hardware development down there. They're strict. So when that Beats deal happened, I'm like, man, he ain't gonna be able to say a 4-letter word for at least 3 years. But knowing Dre, I mean, I knew Dre back in the day, man. When we first got started, Wrecking Crew, doing shows out in Yakima in a gym. I remember those days, man, and he loves music, so you couldn't hold it back too long.
Do you think it's still going to happen? I mean, Battlecat's telling me he's in the studio with him, so I mean, the excitement level
It's got to, man.
Yeah.
I mean, he's probably updating it. I mean, because it's been ready, 2 years?
Yeah.
At least,
Right?
yeah.
So it's like he's probably updating it or changing a few things up, but he's got to be loving life right now. Then he's doing music because he loves it.
Yep.
'Cause he sure ain't
That's
needing
for
no
sure.
money right now.
No, he damn sure don't.
no, he
He
ain't
damn
no
sure don't.
money.
He's well set right there.
Talk about the experience, because I've been in his studio before when he produces records, and it's an experience. But I want people to hear from you, Andy, as you being an artist who had an amazing opportunity to team up with the Battlecat. So talk about that overall experience.
Well, when the first time when we got to the house, our spirits connected, and we went in the studio. We didn't really miss too many words. Hey, nice to meet you, whatever. This is what I got in my head. I wanted a funk groove that take us back in the barbecue and in the backyard, driving down the street with the cars open, hanging on the corner with your boys. I said, and I had the name called "We on the Flow." I said, that's it.
Yep.
So he played a song off of the last record, "My Oh My."
Yep.
And then he turned it off and he said, "I got something to see what you think." And so he came up with the groove, and I said, that's it. And I started singing to it right away, and then we put it together, and it came out phenomenal.
He's like a chef. He's honestly like a chef.
Amazing.
And I told you
He's
this,
totally
Deb.
amazing, man.
I told you this, Deb. When you and I were at, I think it was Runway to Freedom backstage. I was up hosting that show, and I said two things to you and your artist. I said he's like a chef, and then I also said that if I'm having a rough day, or I wake up in the middle of the night and I can't fall back asleep, I play that Andy Stokes record with DJ Battlecat, and that puts me back to sleep, and that's a true story.
It's a groove, man.
That record put that it's just Battlecat has that he has that touch. He really has that touch to. That's why Snoop. That's why Dre. That's why Daz and Corrupt and you name it. Eastsiders. That's why they all work with him.
Yeah, he got that touch for sure.
And not only working with Battlecat, but taking this one step further, Andy, your next follow-up record has Snoop Dogg on it.
Yeah, we're blessed to have him on there.
That's huge.
Recorded the song, and well, before we even went down there, Doug was already talking about Snoop, and I was going, "Oh man, I don't know about all that." I don't know about all that because I didn't know how things would go or whatever, but. As we progressed with the song and when we got in the studio and started coming together and everybody's bobbing their heads and they said, "Oh, we got something," and he said, "I'm going to go talk to Snoop." And Snoop heard it, and he when I met him, he said, "Man, I had to step back and make sure I came in correct with this one because this groove is something else." I said, "What's the cat? What else you going to do? Become correct? If you didn't, then you might as well just get out the chair, go home." So
Yes, sir.
So, I think this would be an appropriate question here for management. Deb, when can we expect to not only play that record on my show, because I'd like to be the first show, if we can, to premiere that record. If you're not at XM Studios in New York, I get it. But I'm saying if you're local here in my city here, I'd like to be one of the first to play it. But for everyone else out there, when can they expect to hear that record, the new Snoop Dogg record?
Right now with the flow, everything with Best Day Ever is continuing to grow. I mean,
Okay.
we're at 22 right now, and everything's moving forward.
Okay.
I mean, we're plus in all the charts right now. And so we're going to let it take its life,
Yep.
fully. I
Good,
mean, we can
good.
get it all the way where we need it to go. And we're looking at the top 10s right now. So we're going to be out there on the road supporting this record, which is key. A lot of performances for Andy over the next couple of weeks.
Great.
A lot of cities we're going to touch.
Great.
We, get back up here, and we'll reevaluate everything.
Absolutely.
But we got the
You and I
release-
go back a few years, so.
Yeah, we got the release party on the 17th at the Triple Door, which will be phenomenal.
I'm looking forward to that.
First time he's going to premiere the whole new record,
Great.
performing it.
Great.
And then after that, when we get ready for this We on the Floor release,
Yep.
I'm going to definitely come back with Andy and make sure that Dirty Harry gets to play it because
You said it
over
right here,
these years,
all up on the air. Everybody heard you.
It goes all the way back to what was it, Dirty, your birthday? How many years ago? We were sitting at Bamboo Garden and the phone
Bamboo Garden,
rings and-
yes, and it was Battlecat, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
my
I'll never
birthday-
forget that.
yeah.
I'll never forget it. And that was the proper introduction. It was a surprise birthday present.
Yeah.
Him and I were at one of my favorite restaurants here in the city. It's called Bamboo Garden. Shout out to them. They're actually listening right now. I actually went there last night. That's my home away from home, but I went there last night for dinner. And the first thing I walk in the door, and the two people that work there, Kitson and Sue, Studio 110.live, Studio 110.live, and it's just like the whole. I thought the whole restaurant was going to erupt and say Studio 110.live. So it was a joyful, amazing moment. But getting on to the next subject here, Andy, and I asked Mix this earlier. Obviously, besides Snoop, I mean Snoop's huge, but give me one other artist that you would love the opportunity to do a collaboration with.
You didn't ask me that damn question. Good line.
No,
I totally did.
No, you didn't. You asked Tamika. You didn't ask me that.
I didn't ask you that? No.
Oh, he
Well,
went
I
around
will.
the corner. Wow, it's so many. I mean, I don't know, bro. I mean, so many of them.
I didn't mean
out
to
there.
put you on the spot, but in the
but,
meantime. Well, I'll give you some time. I'll give you some time to think about
I
it.
really haven't thought about it, actually.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
really haven't thought about it.
Yeah. How about you, Mix?
I probably got 3, and it has nothing to do with whether we would mix or not.
I
honestly.
totally thought I asked you this earlier.
No,
but-
you
okay.
didn't, man. 1 would be Tech 9.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because Tech 9 is incredible. But 2 and 3 would shock you. Kraftwerk and Gary Newman.
Wow.
Because Gary Newman can. People always talk. I talk about Gary Newman a lot because most people. I love lyrics, right? And when I hear all the double entendres that he can drop, and he can say 20 things in one line, and I'm like, I wouldn't even care if I did nothing on the song, but hit the snare drum.
Yeah.
I don't care. Just to be in that studio, man, and get something from that artistry, man. That's all it's about for me.
Yep.
That's why I asked you, did they have to be living? Because I would have said James Brown with the quickness.
That's exactly where I was going to go. That would have been first.
I was a kid listening to James Brown
I
stuff.
agree with you.
And he had 2 drummers he used to use on stage at the same time.
Yep.
But they always sounded like one. And there was something about them scat jazz that.
Catchy. It's just as catchy.
That's it.
That
was my James Brown period.
Yeah,
That's why I grew up in. My whole show and whatever is, is him.
Yep.
There you go.
What would you say is one thing that you feel on an all-around level, Andy, as a message to your fans, to up-and-coming artists, and there's quite a few of them listening right now. What's that one piece of advice that you would give to an artist that is trying to be in a position like you having the #1 song out in the country?
Learn your craft, learn the business, and never give up.
Yep.
That's it. That's it. Learn the craft, learn the business, and I'm gonna say it again, learn the business, and be the best you can be.
Yep.
Don't settle for less, because if you're looking to come up on the next level, it ain't no joke up here.
Yep.
You can be up here for like a day and say, oh, then you're out. So, I'm experiencing all this, and being around, and I was blessed to go to the Grammys, and
Talk about that
that
experience.
was a whole new world for me. It's like, man, they're not playing up here.
Yep.
They're not playing,
I saw some pictures. Talk about that experience.
Man, it was a great experience, man. It was a great experience just to go and to
see
be a
the
part
hat.
of all that.
I see the hat on your head.
Got the hat and all that.
Yeah,
Got
yeah.
my little memorabilia and whatnot, and but the experience was great. I was blessed to run into Eric Dawkins, who wrote a song, collaborated on a song called All Night. That's also on the Now album, and watch him get called and be nominated for a Grammy, and then run into him, but the whole experience of New York and Times Square and Madison Square Garden, and just watching everybody and how they do stuff. I was learning and watching and got ideas for shows and what they do. And
Yeah, it's funny. I have a similar. I was nominated.
Yes.
But the moment was so large that when they said I won, I was still looking around. And my crowd was like, "Dude, get up! You just won." I'm like, "Oh, I'm excited to run up there because I'm not even." I'm gonna tell you what was humbling to me. Like after you win the Grammy, you got to go through this line and you got to talk to the press.
Right.
So I'm in this line and I'm behind these 2 dudes, older gentlemen, and I could and one of them had a voice like this right here. I was, that sound like Dr. John, but I'm not saying nothing. And it was B.B. King, man.
Oh my Lord.
Dude, let me tell you something. I almost couldn't. I got his autograph for my mom, thank God, because she would have probably slapped me if she found out I met B.B. King. But I got the autograph for him. But you're right. It's so much going on, but at the same time, I saw a lot of phoniness. And I hate to say this because I was on the Grammy
Tell the
Commission.
truth, man.
I was on the Grammy Commission.
Tell the truth.
And I don't want to tell too much, but
Right.
once you're behind the scenes, winning one is not as important as you think. I'll just say that. It's
Oh, yeah.
not, it may be important to a fan outside of it, but Jimi Hendrix didn't win a Grammy.
Right.
Think about it.
There's a lot of majors
It's a lot of politics.
that didn't win a Grammy.
Yep.
And I think that for me, just to put that word nomination before my name, it's enough.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
enough. You know, because in your journey, hey, I did it. My goal, I accomplished my goal. Whether I get a Grammy or not, that's just a bonus. You write a hit song and you get to number one and getting a bunch of money behind it, that's just a bonus.
Yep.
The journey is what you did before you was thinking about all that.
It's the people that make the difference.
That's right.
I always say, I did the day after I did the Grammys, I played Fresno, right? Small club, packed. We had to do 3 shows, but it was real people. You putting your hands in a guy that he might have been, by day he might have been a
Exactly.
construction worker, but he spent his money to come out with his wife and check me out. So that's when the Grammys would really, you get desensitized almost because it's like you're kind of pushed away from everything, and which is odd for me coming from Seattle.
Right.
My thing is I got to be one with the people. I can't even make music.
And I so agree with Mix is saying, because you ain't doing nothing without them. If they ain't coming to see you,
Thank you.
you can be the baddest brother in the world, the baddest artist in the world. You ain't going nowhere.
Yep.
Them people, my fans, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much
Exactly.
for 30 years of being behind my back.
Amen.
Thank you so much.
Amen. Yes, sir.
Truly appreciate it. Truly.
Yep.
Well, that's a testimony why we're still independent. I mean, we're independent on the charts at number 22. We're going across the nation right now, touring as an independent, right? So there's so many artists out there that are independents that have their own touring circuit. They're out there making noise right now because the industry gives us that opportunity now with distribution being online and with shows like yours, Dirty, that are coming up, that we can come and we can share the music on so many different levels. And it's such a beautiful thing because it's not the politics, because behind it's still the entertainment business, right?
Yep.
It's show business, right?
Right.
And so when you're able to keep that core and be able to keep that peace within and let the natural flow from the source, the music, come through there, and that's how you're living, the door's open, the blessings are given.
Yep.
Business has changed, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when I got in, and you're exactly right, I came up at a time like my peak. You couldn't define who you were. You couldn't. I couldn't say, Mix-a-Lot is this, because I'm more than just a cat that did a song about asses.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But then you were defined by the label.
Yep.
So they would tell the artist, okay, you finished recording, like what you did, you go to sit down, now we're going to define you.
Right.
And they will tell
Whatever.
them who
Whatever.
you are from their lens,
Yep,
right?
yep.
And they don't care about, he may be a great father.
Right.
They don't care that he may be religious.
Right. Exactly.
If it benefits them to say he's not religious, that's what they're gonna say.
Yep.
Back then. So
Yep.
now I tell kids all the time, the downside of the business is that you got a generation of people who grew up not buying music.
Yep.
So they expect it for free. That's the downside.
Right. Yep.
The good side of it, now with social media, you can define yourself.
Yep.
And take that and run with it.
Yep.
Because
It's a blessing right there.
It can be
That's
profitable.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because I'm coming up. When you was coming up, I was living in Tacoma, front Tacoma, with the Lakes High School.
Yep.
And my brother, Rodney Stokes, with High Performance.
Yep.
And so I sat back and I watched, because I had just really gotten the game. I was blessed with with Nate Phillips and Bruce Carter.
Right.
With that band, and so it does. I got some. What reason I'm saying this is I got inspired by you to go ahead and do that.
Yeah, because it's a lot of ups and downs, man. Because I started out independent.
Yeah.
And then I went major because at the time, independents were getting gobbled up. So,
Right.
You'd cut a couple of hits and then the major suck you up. And then they
Right.
water down, purge you for all your talent, and then throw the label in the garbage. So the brand was sucked up and spit out. So going from a independent to a major, my whole psyche was off because it wasn't family feeling. I couldn't walk in and shake hands with Ness, and we was kicking it and talking about the next track. It didn't work like that no more. It was like I walked in an office full of people. I'm like, who the hell are these folks right here? And I had to sell myself.
Yeah, I knew that feeling. I went down, got with Warner Brothers. I went down south.
That's where I was at. Yeah.
Yep, got with Warner Brothers and went down in '96, and did both videos, did the record, because she produced it. And then in a moment, it's like, once you're done, you don't hear from them.
Yep.
And if they decide to drop you, they don't tell you.
They don't even tell you.
You know, and so I got dropped, and here I am in L.A., got to move out where I'm at. Ain't no more money coming, and so I'm a vagabond in L.A. And it almost destroyed me.
That's the record business,
It
brother.
almost destroyed me because when I got back home, I didn't want to sing or do nothing with music for a long time.
So Andy, let's talk about that for a second, because that's a powerful story right there. So how did you overcome that? Like when you got that phone call, or however you were notified of that, like how did you overcome that?
I'm gonna tell you how it happened. I got up one morning. I'm in Marina Del Rey. Everything's cool. I mean, I just and me and Zapata Jr. and Wesley and the guy that I can't remember his name. That the Stargate, the brother with the thing in his head. We was up at Starbucks, and so I got back to the house. I picked up the phone. Hey, see what you doing? You want. He said, how you doing? I said, I'm fine. He goes, you ain't heard? I said, heard what? He said, come over here. And so he was in Marina Del Rey, and I just walked over there, and then that's how I found out.
Yeah. That's how I found out my stuff got snatched off of MTV. I was sitting there having lunch, and the people from Universal joined us, and they said, well, Mix, how's it feel, man? You're #1 in the country, and to get yanked. I said, got yanked from what? I had no idea. It's like,
Wow.
It was #1, MTV, and they yanked it. They passed Michael Jackson, the day after that, gone. And I'm like, what the hell happened? It's just
cutthroat.
Yeah.
the business is, and that's why I have no allegiance to major labels. I'll deal with them. I mean, I have a publishing deal with Universal. And I love working with them, but my allegiance is to me. That's it.
And, the business has changed, and believe me, I've seen both sides of it. Like before, I was at Cube, I was at Def Jam, and when I was at Def Jam, years back here, it was a good opportunity to really learn how the record business was in those years. But then seeing it like, Andy, how you touched on it, how it is now and how cutthroat it is. Yep. Really, at the end of the day, these A&R guys, they're just looking for that quick 24-hour paycheck, whether it's one song or whether it's a huge merch deal or a download deal or whatever it is. That's all they're really happy with. And
you know why they say people sang better in the 70s and 80s? Because A&R wouldn't look, because there were no music videos in the 70s. Right? So they went for the best talent.
Yep.
But in the 80s and 90s, you could have a voice, but it's like, oh, she ain't really got the look we're looking for right now.
Lexicon.
Yeah. I'm telling you, man, that's what they do. They would go, you 30 years old. That's too old. I'm sorry, you can't do this.
Exactly.
It's pretty sad because those were the best voices. Yep. Who listens to Mavis Staples and don't go, whew? You know what I mean? You're not going to hear that now unless she looks like,
Well, the publishing industry, the whole industry's changed as
a little
well.
closer to the mic.
The publishing industry changed as well, right? So songwriting once again became a really the whole thing was like put together by a bunch of songwriters, and you have a bunch of people every day. There's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of songwriters right now writing the next hits that you'll hear in the next couple of weeks that are going to be placed on your favorite artist's album.
Yep.
And the artist walks in the studio and just says, yeah, I like that record. And the label says, oh, I like that record too. And they sing it.
Yeah.
So you got to be connected to that music. The reason why Best Day Ever comes across as it comes across is because Andy's singing from his soul.
Yep.
I mean, that's why they call him the Northwest King of Soul music, really. Because it comes from, you can hear it coming from his soul throughout the whole record.
Yep.
Right? It's just not something you're trying to fit into. I'm down there with the songwriters. Everyone's like trying to write the next hit. And they're trying so hard. When you try hard, what happens?
Yeah, you fail because it's fake.
Exactly.
It's not from the heart, not from the soul. You're trying. We were just talking about that earlier. Trying to make a hit. You can't make hits. Just make songs, and if they hit, that's up to the fans.
I remember a couple years back, I was having a conversation with Jay-Z, and Jay-Z told me, he says, Dirty Harry, let me let you into a little secret. He says, you're doing something wrong if they're not talking about you. And I just think, like, if a lot of artists thought that today and took that piece of critical advice from a guy like Jay-Z, it's factual. It's true.
I agree with that, and then I kind of disagree with that. Mm-hmm. And what I mean by that is talking how about you. You know what I mean? I mean, it depends on how you feel about your art. If you don't really care about just being smut, you can go out and you can have your girl half naked and you can just cuss and talk about shooting people, and people will be like, they're talking about you.
Yeah.
But that's not necessarily success to everybody, at least not to me.
Right.
Personally. I want to do something I want to do something artistically that I can look back and go, okay, I don't feel bad about that.
Yep.
And everybody's different.
It got to be a positive light for me.
Yep, I agree.
It got to be positive, period.
Yep.
Well, honestly, I just want to kind of close out the show. The reason this was, an amazing kickoff show was not only the talent that's in this room, but, this is talent from here. This is talent that's emerged from the Pacific Northwest where I'm.
What's tripping me out is this right here this is the game now.
Yep.
And people should really listen to what these guys are saying, because what I'm talking about is done.
Yep.
When I do records now, I got to do it like these guys. This is the new model. So any kid watching this, any kid listening to this, pay attention to what these guys are talking about, because that's how you make bread today in this game.
That's for sure.
And that's probably some of the best advice you can get coming right there from the one and only Sir Mix-a-Lot. Sir Mix-a-Lot, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for opening up the show with me today for my brand new show, Studio 110.live. I hope you'll come in again. And
Dirty Harry, we never did do it.
What's that?
We were supposed to go to a strip club together.
Oh,
I thought we did. We
never did it, bro.
I wasn't going to go down that road today, but since you opened up that door, actually one of the clubs have actually
we never did
asked me to be a featured guest on the podcast show that they're doing, and I said, you know what, I will be my new show is my top priority, but I said, you know what, I will come down and be a featured guest on your podcast show at the strip club. So I will do that. I will do that.
That's a very interesting dynamic. A strip club podcast show?
Yes, one of the local strip club owners reached out to me and said that they wanted me to be a special guest, and I said, you know what? As long as you guys will be a special guest on my show, then I'll be a guest on your show.
Right.
I'm all about the give and take.
So. That's why he's doing it.
Right.
I appreciate you having me. Thank you for having me.
I appreciate you.
I want to present the first.
I'll always take a gift.
I mean, that's literally the first album given out from the brand.
You got the first one out the box.
Well, when I get off the air here, we're going to take a picture. We're going to take
Brand
a picture.
new one, indeed.
And I'm honored that yours truly, Dirty Harry, has Andy Stokes' first album, hot off the press, in my hands. That's powerful, and I appreciate that.
Brother. It's all love.
Any closing words for me, Sir Mix-a-Lot, until I see you next time on my show?
I'm hungry.
Well, there's plenty of good food options here and where we broadcast from. I want to thank Andy Stokes.
Thank you for having me.
I want to thank, if you want to hop on the mic here once more, please. I want to thank this
Tamika.
I want to thank Tamika.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Tamika, and maybe next time Rihanna will be in the picture. And I want to thank my long-term friend here, Dub B. Him and I used to spend many evenings together back in the day at his condo in the city, and the forecast that we would talk about is happening right now, so I couldn't be happier.
You're managing, right?
Right now, yeah.
Yeah. The reason I so many times I see managers that are just like, sterile. Like, yes, well, Andy's going to be in California next Wednesday. But when you see a manager that's passionate, that believes in the music that the artist creates, you don't see that too often. That's beautiful, man.
Absolutely.
Blessed to have you, B. For real.
Indeed. I'm blessed to be here.
Yeah, man.
It's a blessing. Reciprocated.
Well, thank you all. Thank you, my friend here, Jeremy here from Popeye Energy Drink. You're going to be a regular on the show, so don't feel too.
He was just telling me something about the energy drink too, man.
What was he telling you?
He said that the first time he drank it, he kind of talked like this, right? But then a year later, unzip and you heard this. Yeah. So you need to drink that Popeye's energy drink so you can pick up this. Harry hates that stuff.
I'm going to close out my show with asking Sir Mix-a-Lot and Andy Stokes one more question. How many shows at this level, with the studio that I've built out for my brand new show, have an energy drink like Popeye energy drink as the possible future beverage of the show that you guys are on? Probably quite, probably pretty slim, right?
Dude, you know what you just did?
Not none.
You just put Jeremy on the spot, bro. You are brutal, man.
No, him and I have been talking about it.
It's going to be my 2018 tax write-off.
Him and I, this is no surprise
That
to
was
Jeremy.
well done. That was well done, Harris.
Thank you. I tried my best. Studio 110.live is the recipe, the daily recipe, Monday through Friday, 1 to 3 Pacific Standard Time. I want to give a couple real last-minute shout-outs. Gabby, listening to me over in Romania, I appreciate that she's with her crew. She's somebody in the fashion business that'll be coming on the show here in the next couple weeks. I want to thank big shout-out to my friend Eitan right now, listening in Tel Aviv, Israel. My friend Emiliano in Los Angeles. My sisters, Gabriella and Samantha on the East Coast in New York listening, and everyone else out there. There's so many of you, but I'll get to you guys tomorrow. Thank you again, Sir Mix-a-Lot, Andy Stokes, everybody that Marcus Trufont, everybody that joined me on my first kickoff show today. I couldn't have asked for a better show. And everybody here at Studio 110, Ryan, Cristiano, Aaron, Julianne, everybody here. So couldn't be more excited for the new opportunity to be back on the radio. Have a good afternoon. See
Thank
you.
you.